In the summer of 1985, a road was declared dead by a vote, not a vote in Congress. A committee of highway officials met, looked at a number that had been on the map for going on 60 years, and decided it no longer belonged there. Route 66. They struck it from the United States Highway System. Somewhere, a work crew was sent out with a wrench to take the shields down off their posts. And here's the strange part. The road did not go anywhere. Every mile of it still lay exactly where it had always been. The pavement was still warm in the afternoon. The center line was still painted. The diners still had their stools. The motels still had their neon. The towns still stood along it the way they had for 60 years. Nothing moved an inch. All that changed was a line on a map and a set of signs coming down. Think about what that means for a second. A thing can be pronounced dead while it is standing right in front of you. Still here, still whole, just officially gone. That gap between what was erased on paper and what was still lying there in the sun is where this whole story lives, because Route 66 was not killed in 1985. It was only certified. The killing had already happened, quietly, one town at a time, and almost nobody had watched it happen. To understand what was taken, you have to understand what it was. Route 66 was commissioned on the 11th of November, 1926, one of the first roads in a brand new national system, back when America was still stitching its dirt tracks into something you could actually drive across. It ran 2,448 miles, from Chicago to the edge of the Pacific in California, through 8 states. It was the road you took to go west and start over. And people did. When the Dust Bowl emptied out the middle of the country in the 30s, this was the road the families drove, everything they owned roped to the roof, chasing the rumor of work in California. John Steinbeck put it in The Grapes of Wrath in 1939 and gave it the name that stuck, the Mother Road, not a nickname a marketing department invented, a name a novelist reached for, because the road really did feel like the thing that carried a broken country somewhere it might survive. Then came the good years, the ones a lot of you remember. The road became a vacation. Main Street of America, a song you could sing the whole route to. Neon motels with the office light left on, diners where the coffee never stopped, filling stations every few miles, run by families who lived out back. But here is the detail that matters most, and it is easy to miss. In town after town along that road, the highway was not something that ran past, it ran through. Route 66 was the main street. It was the same strip of asphalt where the barber cut hair and the drugstore sold sodas and the motel lit its sign at dusk. The town and the road were the same thing, which means those towns had exactly one reason to exist: the car that had to slow down and come through. Every dollar in those places came off the highway, out of the window of somebody passing on their way to somewhere else. Nobody lived in Seligman, Arizona because of the scenery. They lived there because the road made it a place worth stopping. Take a smaller one. Glen Rio sat right on the line between Texas and New Mexico, split down the middle by a state border and the highway that ran through it. The town arranged itself entirely around the passing car. The gas got pumped on the Texas side, where the tax was lower. The motel and the bar went up on the New Mexico side because the Texas county was dry. Everything the place was, where it put its pumps, where it poured its drinks, was built around the traveler slowing down. That was the whole business. There was no other business. Keep that in mind, because a town whose whole life is the traffic is a town that can lose everything without a single building being touched. The thing that ended Route 66 was not a flood or a fire or a bad decision. It was a better road. In 1956, the country decided to build the Interstate Highway System, the wide, fast, divided freeways we all drive now, and they were genuinely better, safer. You could cross a state without stopping at a single traffic light. Trucks could run all night. By every measure an engineer cares about, the interstate beat the old two-lane road it was built to replace. Here is what the towns expected. They expected their road to be upgraded, widened, straightened, modernized, but still theirs, still coming through. That is not what happened. The interstates were built on a different idea. A modern highway does not weave through your main street and make everybody slow to 25 miles an hour past the drugstore. It goes around. It bypasses the town. A clean curve of concrete a mile out, where the land is cheap and nothing slows you down. The traffic gets where it is going faster, and the town it used to feed watches its lifeblood sail past on the horizon, close enough to see, too far to reach. Segment by segment, that is what happened to Route 66. Not all at once, a stretch here, a stretch there, over almost 30 years. Interstate 55 took the run up toward Chicago. I-44 took Missouri and Oklahoma. I-40 took the long middle across the Southwest. Other interstates carried the last of it west into California. Each new piece of freeway was a mile of the old road that no longer had a reason for anyone to drive it, and nobody meant any harm. That is the part that stays with me. There was no villain here, no plot against the small towns. Just a country doing the sensible thing, building itself a faster way through, and, without ever quite deciding to, routing the traffic around the places that had depended on it. The cruelty was structural. It was in the geometry of the on-ramp. Let me take you to one town on one afternoon, because this is where the whole story stops being about a road and starts being about a person. Seligman, Arizona, a small railroad and highway town out in the high desert, the kind of place you would pass through in 4 minutes and forget. There was a barber there named Angel Delgadillo. He had grown up in Seligman, and he had been cutting hair in a shop on Route 66 since 1950. His whole life was that street. He watched the traffic go by from his chair the way other people watch weather. On the 22nd of September, 1978, they opened the stretch of Interstate 40 that went around Seligman, and the traffic stopped, not slowed, stopped. Angel would tell it later in a way that is hard to shake, that the town died at 2:30 in the afternoon. One moment, the cars were coming through the way they always had, an endless river of them. The next, the road out front was empty. The people in those cars were still out there. You could see them streaming along the interstate a mile off. They just had no reason to come into town anymore, and so they didn't. Sit in that shop with him for a second. The chair is still there. The scissors are still sharp. The sign still turns. Angel is still exactly who he was the day before. A good barber in the town where he was born. Nothing about him failed. Nothing about the town fell down. The world just built a faster way around it, and in an afternoon, a place that had mattered for half a century became a place you drive past without slowing. That is not being destroyed. That is being bypassed. And it is worse in a particular way because there is no wreckage to point at, nobody to blame, nothing to rebuild. There is only the quiet and the sight of everyone you used to serve going somewhere else. Seligman was one of the first. It was not the last. Town after town went the same way as I-40 crawled west, each one falling silent the day its bypass opened. The towns fought where they could. Williams, Arizona, fought the hardest, tied the last 6 miles of interstate up in lawsuits for years, because the people there had watched what happened to the others and knew exactly what was coming. They held out longer than anyone, but in 1984, the bypass around Williams finally opened, and Williams became the very last town on the whole 2,000 miles to be routed around. With that, it was done. Every mile of Route 66 had been bypassed. The road still existed. It just no longer led to anything the country needed. So by the time that committee voted in 1985 and took the number off the map, they were not killing anything. They were signing a death certificate for something that had already died in the field. one town at a time over 3 decades. The vote was a formality. The honest truth is the one nobody wants in a story like this. The road was obsolete, it was correctly replaced, and the country was right to build what it built. That should be the end. The sad, sensible end. Progress wins, the old road dies, roll the credits, except that is not what happened. And this is the part I keep coming back to. Because nobody ever made a pilgrimage to Route 66 while it was alive. When it was a working highway, it was just a road, crowded, useful, ordinary. Nobody flew across an ocean to stand next to a road they had to slow down for. It was infrastructure, you used it, and you forgot it. It was only after it was declared dead, crossed off, bypassed, made completely useless, that it turned into the thing people cross a continent to touch, the Mother Road, the great American pilgrimage. The decommissioning was not the funeral. Look closely, and it was the birth. The road had to stop being needed before it could start being loved. And the barber saw it before almost anyone. Angel Delgadillo could not win the traffic back. Nobody could. The interstate was never going to give it up. So he went after something stranger. In 1987, he and his neighbors organized, and they started fighting to have the dead road officially recognized. Historic Route 66. Signs going back up on the same kind of posts they had come down from. Only now the signs said historic, and they were not directing traffic. They were inviting it. Angel took the deadness of his town and made the deadness itself the reason to come. It worked. People came, they still come. They sit in the chair in his old shop just to say they did. The thing that had been routed around, the useless leftover stretch of blacktop that led officially nowhere. That was exactly what people wanted. Being bypassed had not finished Route 66. Being bypassed was the thing that made it immortal. The old road is still out there, most of it. Broken into pieces, but drivable. A mile of the original alignment here. A preserved stretch there, running alongside the interstate that replaced it like a shadow that outlived the body. Faded centerline, weeds coming up through the seams. Nobody has to drive it. That is the whole point. Everybody who does chose to. And the towns that made it through did it the same way the road did. They stopped trying to be needed and let themselves be cherished instead. The diner in Seligman is open today, not because you have to pass it, but because you went out of your way to find it. That is a completely different way for a place to survive. Slower, quieter, but it holds. I think that is why this road gets under people's skin, and I do not think it has much to do with asphalt. Most of us, if we live long enough, learn what it is to be bypassed. Not fired, bypassed. The trade you were the best in the county at, still yours, still good, and one day the work just quietly finds a faster way past it. Nobody knocks you down. Nobody comes to tell you it is over. They build the on-ramp somewhere else, and the traffic that used to need you goes streaming along a mile off, close enough to see. And you are left, like a town on an old road, standing exactly where you always stood, wondering what you are for now that the cars have stopped coming, which is why the sign matters. The one that went back up. Same kind of post the old one came down from in 1985. Same shield shape people had watched a work crew unbolt and carry away. Only this one says historic, and nobody put it there to move the traffic along. They put it there because the thing it points to turned out to be worth more once it stopped being useful than it ever was, while everyone needed it. Being bypassed is not the same as being finished. The things the world routes around do not disappear. They keep their own time, standing where they always stood, waiting. And sometimes, long after the traffic has gone, people start driving hundreds of miles just to come back. We can explain every part of how the road was replaced. The dates, the interstates, the mile markers, the vote. What the record cannot quite explain is why a useless stretch of old blacktop pulls people across a whole country to stand on it. except maybe that it answers a question we would rather not ask out loud about what it means to be needed and what it means to be loved, and how much it costs to learn, usually too late, that those were never the same thing. The road is still there, it always was. We just had to stop needing it before we could see it.